Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for returning. And if you are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and you hit the notification icon so that anytime I post solution to a task or guidelines to a task, you will be the first to receive a notification so that you'll be able to follow through, gain some knowledge, and you'll be able to perform or answer your questions and get a good grade. So without much to say, today we'll be looking at tax 0x0ac argc. So this is a tax which is altogether 200%. So if you want to read or watch, these are some of the resources that the links are over here. Then as we continue, before you start this particular task, you have to finish the quiz that we have over here. So these are the solutions to the quiz. So we have quiz 0, quiz 1, quiz 2, quiz 3, quiz 4, quiz 5, and the last one which is quiz 6. So you can see the answers or the solutions to the quiz over there. Then our coding starts, that is the task. So we are looking at task 0. And before you start this task, the first thing that we are supposed to do is to run our sandbox. Now after running your sandbox, then you change directory, which is cd, into our root folder. Then over here, for us to be sure, you ls. That's what ls means. You are listing the content of that particular directory. Now, as you can see, today's project will be done inside the ALX low-level programming repository. So to do that, cd ALX low-level programming, then you hit enter. So right now, as you can see, we are inside our ALS low-level programming directory. Then the next thing that we are supposed to do is to create our directory called 0x0a. So you can just copy the directory name from here. Now to create a directory in the terminal is mkdir, make directory. That's the command. Then you paste the name of the directory. After that, you hit enter. Now for us to check whether our directory exists, the next thing that we are going to do is to type ls. Now you see that we have successfully created our directory. So the next step is for us to change directory into this particular directory. So cd 0x0a, then hit enter. So now we are inside our argv directory. Now please do not forget, anytime you create a directory inside a repository, the first thing that we are going to do right now is to create our readme file. So to do that, we are going to type vi, then readme.md, which is markdown. The readme file we are creating is a markdown file. That is why it is having the extension .md. Whilst in the command mode, click I to move into the insertion mode. Then what we are going to do is to copy the tax heading, come back to your terminal. Now for markdown files, to create a heading 1, we use the hash tag key. Then from there you paste your heading over here. Then you click escape to go into command mode. Then :WQ, which is write and quit. Then after that, you can see that we now have our readme file created. The next step is write a program that prints its name followed by a new line. If you rename the program, it will print the new name without having to compile it again. You should not remove the path before the name of the program. So to do that, first of all, we have to create our main.h file. As you can see over here, the prototype of all your functions and the prototype of the function putCar should be included in your header file called main.h. And we shouldn't forget to push our header file, and we are allowed to use the standard library. So the first thing that we are going to do is to create our main.h. So to do that, you type vi main.h and hit enter. So as you can see, you can now define your header file over here. So you can see we have if ndef main underscore h, then define main underscore h, and int. So this is the prototype of the function putCar. Then we have the prototype of the function atoy. When you are done, just click escape, come back to the command mode, then colon WQ to go back to the previous page. Then the next step is for us to now create our file, which is 0what'smyname.c. So to do that, copy this, come back to your terminal, and you type vi, then you paste the name that you copied, and you hit enter. So when you do that, we will be having this over here, which is int. So this is the code that we will be having. After typing this code, then you hit escape to go into the command mode, then to exit or to save it, colon WQ to go back. Then when you are done, the next thing that we are going to do is to type gcc space, then the name of our file, which is 0-what'smyname.c, then hit enter. Now immediately you do that, you see that it has been executed successfully. So you can now go and check your code. For us to also be sure, we can use Betty to check whether everything is in line. Now you see that we don't have any error, so you can see that we are good to go. Then from here we move on to task number 2, which is 1-args.c. Now what this is saying is that we should write a program that prints the number of arguments passed into it. Your program should print a number followed by a new line. So over here, okay, what we are going to do is we are going to type vi, then paste the name of the file, then you hit enter. When you do that, you can now come and write this code over here, which is include stdio.h, then int main, int argc car. So after writing this code, you click on escape, then colon WQ, which will now take us back to the previous page. Then when you are done, you type gcc space the name, then you also compile it, run it. Then when you are done, you can now check your code. Then the next task that we'll be doing is the task 2, which is 2args. Now we are being asked to write a program that prints all arguments it receives. All arguments should be printed, including the first one. Then only print one argument per line, ending with a new line. To do that, we'll copy the name of the file over here. Come back to our terminal, type vi, and paste the name of the file. Hit enter, then write our code. After writing our code, which is this, you click on escape to go into the command mode, colon WQ to save or write and what? Exit back to the previous menu. Then when you are done, we can now run gcc 2-argc. Then you can see that this one has also run successfully. And when we ls, we can see it over here, our argc, which has now given us args over here. The next step is, or the next task is, neither irony nor sarcasm is argument. So we are supposed to write a program that multiplies two numbers. Our program should print the result of the multiplication followed by a new line. Then we can assume that the two numbers and result of the multiplication can be stored in an integer. If the program does not receive two arguments, your program should print error followed by a new line and return 1. Now please, before I forget, anytime you are done with a task over here, the next thing that you are supposed to do is to type git add, then git commit -m, then in the double quote you put your message. So here I'm just going to write updated. Then after that you write git push. Now when the push is successful, then you can now come here. And click on check your code. So when you click on check your code, the checker will now run and display a success message for you. Now we are on task 3. Now this is the requirement for task 3. This is what our code is supposed to do. So to do that, we will copy the name of the file that we are supposed to create. Come back to your terminal, vi space, then you paste the name of the file. Now after that, you click I to enter into the insertion mode. Then you type this particular code over there. When you are done, the next step is click on escape to move to the command mode, then write and quit. Now what this code is doing is that we are writing a program that multiplies two numbers. So you can see that we have two numbers here, int x and int y. Now we are saying that our program should print the result of the multiplication followed by a new line. So that is why you can see that we have this particular printf function over here, which is printing the result of our multiplication, which is x multiplied y. Then this NL over here is the new line that we are talking about. Then we can assume that the two numbers and result of the multiplication can be stored in an integer. Okay, so we can assume that it can be stored in an integer. Then if the program does not receive two arguments, your program should print error followed by a new line and return 1. That is why we have this if statement over here. It's because of this particular if that we have over here. It is saying that now if our argument, that's the argument count, that's why we call it argc. So this argc is counting the number of arguments. So when our argument count is less than 3, that means if it's less than 3, okay, then we should print error. So this code is saying that the maximum that we can have over here is 2. So if our argument is less than 3, it should print error. Then this /n is just a new line that we are putting over there. Then it should return 1. That's why we have this particular code. So when you are done with this, click on escape to enter into the command mode, then :wq, then you hit enter. Then after that, you can now run gcc, then 3-multiply mul.c, then you hit enter. Then you see that it has been executed successfully. Now all of this also, you have to make sure you check it with your Betty. Okay, so if there is any error, Betty will tell us, but you can see that we don't have any error over here. Then the next task is to infinity and beyond. Now, what are we doing when we come to this task? The task is saying that we should write a program that adds a positive numbers. So first of all, what we are going to do is we are going to copy this particular file name, come back to our terminal vi and paste the name of the file and hit enter. Then when we come here, you click I to enter into insertion mode. Then you can now type this particular code. Now let me explain what this code is doing. We are being asked to print the result, write a program that adds positive numbers. So you can see that we have declared our values over here, which is int I, int n. Then we have initialized sum to be 0. Okay, this is what we call assignment. So we have now initialized sum, the variable sum, to now be 0. When we talk of a variable, okay, a variable is basically a container. So this sum can contain any value at all. So that is why we call it variable. It varies. Its content varies. Then we have char. Now we are saying that if the argument count is less than 2, then we should print 0 followed by a new line, then we return 0. Now we now have our for statement over here, or for loop. We call it a loop because this is the index. So for I equal to 1, then argument I, which is this, then I plus plus. So this, the I plus plus, is what we call the increment. Then this code will execute. The code inside the if statement will execute. So now if no number is passed to the program, print 0 followed by a new line. That is what this particular code is doing. Now if one of the number contains symbols that are not digits, print error. That is what this particular flag over here is doing. So anytime you enter a number which is not a digit, but let's say an alphabet, it will print an error for you and it will return 1. Then the last code is saying you can assume that numbers and the addition of all the numbers can be stored in an int variable. So that is why you can see we have the sum over here, because from the beginning we declare the sum over here as int. So when you are done with the code, you click on escape, then colon WQ to go back to the previous page. Then we can now use Betty to check. So Betty, then for-add.c, then hit enter. If there is any error, Betty will tell us. But if there is no error, you can see that we don't have any error over here. Then you now do git add. Then you now do git commit -m, then the message. So you say add. Then when you are done, you do git push. After you are done, okay, come here and click on check code. Now if it is successful, you will see this particular screen. When you are done, then we now move on to the final task, which is task 5, minimal number of points for change. So over here we are being asked to write a program that prints the minimum number of coins to make change for an amount of money. So to do that, we copy the name of the file, which is 100-change.c. Come back to our terminal, type vi space, then paste the name of the file and hit enter. Now when you come here, it will bring you into the command mode. To type this particular code, you click on I to go into the insertion mode. Then we are saying if argument count, okay, if the count is not equal to 2, then we should print error. So if the number of arguments passed to our program is not exactly 1, then we should print error followed by a new line and return 1. That is what this particular code is doing. Then if the number passed as the argument is negative, print 0 followed by a new line. So that is what this particular line of code is saying. So when you are done writing the code, click on escape, then write and quit to go back to the previous line. You type gcc, then 100, then you hit enter. Now it will execute. So right now when we go to, let me clear so that you see everything well. Right now when we type ls, you can see that we have performed all the tasks, and anytime you run the task that you perform, it generates these things for you. So what's my name generated this, the args generated this, the add which we have over here generated this, the multiple generated this. So when we compile it using gcc, okay, that is what we get. So gcc, then 100-change.c, and you hit enter. It is going to create this particular file called change over here for us. So after you are done, you now do git add, then git commit-m, then you write the name of the file. So then you write your message. So let's say final task. Then when you are done, you hit enter. After hitting enter, then you do git push. After pushing to GitHub, then you come back to check your code to see whether everything is running successfully. Now when you receive this message, that means you have successfully finished the task. Please, if you are stuck anywhere along the line, please pause the video, go back, start again, and please just follow step by step as I did so that you'll be able to get everything. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos. Thank you.